Welcome back, students. We're continuing now with Modular 11, Chapter 11, Services to Children, Youth, and Families. This is the second of 4 videos for this particular modular. And as we talked about earlier, the big division in terms of children's services, much of what children's services does is whether you're talking about a service that's considered a prevention service or a service that might be considered an intervention service. So we're going to talk more about the distinction between those two, and we're going to start off with taking a look at prevention services. So obviously, the term prevention means that you're preventing something from happening. In this case, we're talking about preventing child neglect or child abuse from happening. And some of the protective factors, some of the services, some of the things that can exist that can serve as a prevention factor includes things like informal or natural support systems. So this is who are the people around you and who are the people who are supporting you. And if a parent is having some particular challenges in terms of their parenting, are they very isolated and don't really have anybody to go talk to or share their concerns or their frustrations or whatever it is that's going on with them? And so it places the child maybe at higher risk. Or does this person have a support network, a set of support systems that they can go to be able to think this through and talk this through so that it reduces or eliminates the likelihood of anything occurring to the child in the home? So that's what we mean by informal or natural support systems. Home-based services. These are services that can be delivered to children and families in their own homes. It's intended to preserve the family system, strengthen the family system so that if changes are needed, those changes are able to come about. These can be delivered by, a social service agency, mental health services, even things like nutrition counseling, parenting services, all of these home-based services. The distinction is that these are obviously services that are delivered within somebody's home. Parent education focuses on basic developmental stages of children and adolescents and alternative methods of child rearing and discipline. So parent education for people who maybe have not had a lot of experience in terms of parenting, are not familiar with things like developmental stages and what's reasonable to expect a child to be able to do at a certain age, and how to look out for those things, and what to do in the event that the child is not reaching those benchmarks in terms of developmental stages. That's all a piece of what child or parent education can contribute to. And then finally, child development and child care programs, which can help prevent family stress and reduce the possibility of family breakdown. Sometimes a family just needs a respite. Sometimes a family just needs, quite frankly, a house without a child in it for an afternoon. And so having programs where children are able to go, where they're able to develop their intellectual capacities, where they're able to develop their physical motor skills and all of those different kinds of things, as well at the same time as giving the parents a respite or a break from being a parent, can really be helpful in terms of relieving the stress that a parent may be experiencing. Going on with more prevention services, you can be taking a look at recreational, religious, and social programs. So things like faith-based services, Boys and Girls Club, after-school programs, health and family planning programs. We certainly do know that family planning can play a role in terms of spreading out, having children, and so that you don't find yourself or a person doesn't find themselves, with an unplanned pregnancy, maybe just having a baby and now all of a sudden finding themselves pregnant again, and those kinds of things. So these health and family planning programs can be very, very beneficial in terms of planning a family. And then appropriate educational opportunities. There's strong relationships between problems children may be having in school and the relationship to their family. Programs that support children staying in school and to becoming lifelong learners helps to strengthen families. Okay, so then we can go on now and talk about the concept of intervention services. So intervention services are obviously being brought in at a point where something has occurred within a family that's brought that family to the attention of either, again, law enforcement or social services or mental health. And there's a feeling that this is a family that needs help and support and services to prevent the likelihood that whatever happened that sort of brought this family to that organization's attention doesn't continue or happen again. So you have things like health and hospital outreach programs, certainly health clinics, working with like high risk infants, teen parents. They may conduct weekly home visits. Um, there may be programs that help moms with breastfeeding, all sorts of different kinds of health and wellness programs that can come into the home often to help provide support to a family. And again, we identify these as families at risk. Similar to what we said before, childcare, some parents just need a respite from their childcare responsibilities. So bringing that in may be helpful. Childcare providers can be a support to both the child and the parent. Um, uh, you may have parents who are really struggling if they have children who have severe developmental disabilities, or if they themselves are a person with a developmental disability who's now a parent. Um, you could find that teens need time away from parents, parents need time away from teens. Um, and then families who are working but cannot always afford childcare may try strategies to balance work and family that place their children at risk and result in having the child taken from them. So, home management services. These are particular programs where social workers can serve as a role model for parents that are challenged with their parenting skills. They serve as coaches and offer practical suggestions, education about a wide variety of different kinds of issues, not only childcare issues, but really sort of life skill kind of issues, things like shopping and cooking and housekeeping and budgeting and all of those different kinds of things. They can serve as a surrogate parent to children in the family. And again, these efforts are often more cost effective than out of home care. And then counseling, whether it's individual couples or family counseling. There's a variety of different kinds of agencies and organizations that may provide these kinds of services. The person providing the counseling could be a social worker, a licensed clinical social worker, a licensed marriage family therapist, or a psychologist. Again, be aware that there could be a limit on the number of sessions one can receive based on the insurance or who the payer source is. Group counseling might be an option, or family counseling might be an option. Support and self-help groups help individuals realize they're not the only ones coping with the given problem. People are able to learn new skills, develop their leadership skills. You can have communities that have developed support groups around divorce, step parenting, the death of a loved one, or those families, those living with a family member with physical or emotional disabilities. And for youth, groups may focus on students having difficulty within school settings, recovering from substance abuse, or possibly teens who have recently become parents. Another component of intervention services could be school-based social work. So these would be social workers that are usually based at your child's school. It's a very specialized field of social work that focuses on services to children, youth, and families. School social workers deal directly with children, youth, and their families, as well as also working with the teachers, the school administrators, community resources. They often are able to recognize family problems earlier than others. Um, you often hear sort of the scenario of, a student who's, been a good student, but all of a sudden is beginning to, get bad grades, not finish their homework. Maybe there starts to be, fighting on the playground, or, different things. There's just a change in personality or change in performance for this particular child. And so that would be something that the social worker may see as sort of a a signal that, is there something going on at home that's resulting in these behavior changes. School social workers may often work as part of an interdisciplinary team. They may have unique talents that help them work with special needs populations, and they're often called upon for services in a crisis. And I hope you were able to take a look at the video that was part of Modular 10, because I thought it was a really interesting video that gave you a bit of a snapshot of what it's like to be a social worker working on a elementary school campus. Okay, we are going to pause here. Again, this is video 2 of 4 in Modular 11, Services to Children, Youth, and Families. And when we come back, we're going to start talking about Child Protective Services.